everybody. Let's cut to the chase here. I'm Michael. That's Kersey. We're discussing movies. Let's go.
I think that is the best intro you've done. There was no stumbling, no restarts, straight to the point.
I'm going to fuck up the rest. All right. Which movie are we starting with?
Let's go with Suspiria.
Okay. Have you seen the remake? I'm hearing very good things.
I love the remake.
Okay.
The original, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a mood. I think at the time it was kind of fresh. Yes, there was the Giallo and Argento, had already dabbled in that quite a bit. But this feels like it's the next step into like more horror than just straight up, killers. Because we're adding supernatural elements to it. And you can see clearly this must have been a huge international hit. It was only did kind of okay here. But Fulci saw this, had to have seen this and said, okay, that's where we're going next. And then everybody else copied that.
Yeah, it's really one of the first like horror movies that I can think of that really embraces like bright contrasting colors and just really intense music, very atmospheric. It's very, despite having technically a lot of plot, it doesn't really feel like it.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's not a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
And it's the colors. My God, the colors. It hits you in the face so hard. I would say the feeling, the vibe, the cinematography, everything he's going for is more interesting than the actual plot.
Yes, it is. Like you said, it's a movie you feel, not one you really like understand and take in.
Yeah, and I don't understand. My brain, I just got off work, so I can't remember her name. Jessica Walter? That's not right.
Oof, don't ask me.
Yeah, but she stars in Phantom of the Paradise and Shock Treatment and Pennies from Heaven. She was really connected to musical kind of movies. It has the ballet part, so you can see like, okay, her stage background, she probably trained in dancing, so it works for this. It's not really dialogue heavy for her, but everybody else, it's very heavy on the dialogue, which is kind of unusual for Italian movies at the time. They seemed like they almost played silently, that way they could sell it internationally, and minimal dubbing.
Right, and it's almost like, and that's the problem, I think, is that the dialogue is almost inconsequential to the actual story for the most part, because like a lot of weird shit happens, and despite the amount of dialogue that's happening, none of it is really explaining it. It's difficult to explain without really like talking about the remake, which I think kind of perfected what this movie was going for.
Yeah.
Except for the color, it didn't use as much like interesting color or shot composition, but that was kind of on purpose. But yeah, I do criticize it for that one. But like, I think the remake really kind of picked up the themes of what it was going for and kind of expanded on it while also making it more relevant to a specific time period in which it was being made, and kind of commenting on sort of like the fall of fascism in Europe. It was a much better movie. Had a lot more to say, but I do think that Suspiria really does try to hit at something.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it still has a cultural impact to this day. Like, what was the remake to 2018? Was that like 40 years later?
Right.
So, like, clearly there's something about it that people keep coming back to.
And it's the only Argento that people really talk about. Deep Red does have a cult following. That's probably his second most famous. He's still making movies today.
I thought he was dead. That's crazy.
No, yeah. By the way, I think it's 10 years ago, he does Dracula with Rutger Hauer. And it is something else. And again, he's really working with bold colors. You have to see it. Just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I actually really liked his. What was that one we did? We did that series, Masters of Horror.
Right.
His was called Jessica. The fact that I can still remember the name of that episode, I think, says a lot to his skill as a director. Despite, what was that, like 2008 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, he still got it.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's just, I don't think he was ever really that successful. So the only companies distributing his movies were lower end companies that could only release it like in the big cities. So small town folks didn't get exposure to like his next one, Inferno, and stuff like that.
And opera Bird with Crystal Plumage. I think it was his first one, right?
His first giallo. I think he did a few before that. I know he did a western somewhere in there. So this is really him at his peak. Fox is distributing this. It's an international hit. I know it's part of like the Witch Coven trilogy, which is this, Inferno, and I cannot remember the third one because I feel like it was many, many years later. But just a very interesting director in trend setting. Like I said, don't go for the plot, go for the vibes.
Yeah, because like that's the thing about like the end of the movie is insanely chaotic and just it's great. Like the last 10 minutes is perfect for what it's going for. Like the gore, the color, the creepy ass music, like all of it just like melts together perfectly with a really weird, ambiguous ending that is great. And I like that this is sort of like it's basically a witch coven, right?
Yeah.
And we don't really learn exactly how this works because the main character is just someone who's just walking into this insane situation, and so nothing is really explained, but that's okay because it's all about presentation, it's all about style, and so I'm okay with that. And I think that's something that the remake also does incredibly well. It picks up on that and elevates it.
What is it about Eastern Europe that is so unsettling? Is it the fact that it is like just ancient world and all this architecture still left over from it all?
Yeah, I think it's just the Gothic imagery. I mean, like we still keep coming back to that time after time. But I think it just has to do with just the way that the buildings are maintained to this day to get that creepy vibe. So you don't have the crappy CG or matte paintings, although matte paintings are sometimes pretty awesome. But like you can get like some better, more realistic settings.
Yeah. What is our next film?
I want to talk about Shivers because I think it kind of has the same problem that the original Suspiria has.
Okay. So a lot of the dialogue is inconsequential. It's almost a siege concept where they're trapped in one location while the virus is spreading, the creatures are invading their bodies. And what is Cronenberg's second movie? I think he does something right before this, but this is kind of his breakout.
Yeah, well, he did 2 student films before, but I think Crimes of the Future is like the one that people know about. If you're a Cronenberg fan like I am, that's kind of like his breakout one. That was definitely student film, and then Shivers is next.
Okay. Yeah, and this is, at the time, I believe the most successful Canadian movie. And Cronenberg would do this every single time. And when I look, it's like, it was a record-breaking 1.1 million at the box office.
It only goes up from there.
There's only 32 theaters in all of Canada. And I'd be like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It does
we're always filming over there for them anyway. So.
Yeah. It's a very micro budget, fast moving, very entertaining. I don't particularly care for was it Rabid and then The Brood. I know people love those. But I really don't get back into it till Scanners.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I'm a huge fan of The Brood. I think we've talked about it. Have we talked about it?
No, we didn't because it's in the 70s. We skipped over. We haven't done any. Only horror movie we did in the 70s was Dawn of the Dead for that charity event.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, The Brood is honestly one of my favorites of his. But that's for a whole different discussion. But I think Rabid really is kind of a pseudo remake of Shivers. I think Rabid did it significantly better because I think the real horror of Shivers is not the creatures, it's more of the idea of like the isolation of the ultra wealthy that are like all corrupt pedophiles experimenting on people. Like that's the scary part.
Yeah.
The fact that everybody knew that people were having sex with this underage girl and nobody was doing anything about it. I think it's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the thing that's just stated later in the movie, and then no one addresses or comes back to. And I don't exactly know what this movie is going for. I mean, this is kind of like a bigger production for Cronenberg. Obviously, this is his first big one, so I think there's a lot of things that kind of got lost in translation or just didn't get expanded upon. That I think Rabid, which is I think his next movie after this, that I think he really like understood what vibe he's going for, and I think executes on it better. But I think this is a really good first step for a horror director that gets better.
Yeah, so Shivers, I'm going to give Rabid another shot, and of course I'm going to watch. And The Brood, of course, is going to come up, but I'm also curious about, he did a weird movie for hire called Fast Company as a car racing drama that he did between Rabbit and the Brood, and I'm like, did he just do it for the money, or was he like, can I try another genre that I haven't done yet? I'm really interested about that one.
Yeah, I haven't. That's one of the only ones. I think that's the only one of his I haven't seen. I've seen Crimes of the Future, but I haven't seen that one. It's kind of weird, but I am much more of a horror guy, so.
Okay, yeah, I drop out. Dead Ringers never interested me. What is that?
It's okay. Yeah, it's a little overrated. I'm kind of surprised they chose to make that a TV show. There's not a lot there.
Yeah, Crash, Damage.
Crash is really good.
Yeah, there's some in there that I just have not seen, but I'll get to them eventually. What is our next film?
Okay, let me see. I want to save Sorcerer for last. What was the other one?
Serpico.
Serpico, yes. Okay, yeah.
Look, after 90,000 undercover cop, bad cop kind of thing going on, we've seen it over and over, especially after Training Day. This feels a little stale, but we have to remember, I think this is the first one to really say, look, not all cops are good guys. There's some dirty shit in here. And the fact that it's based on a true story and that it led to the creation of Internal Affairs is very interesting. And I think he gives a really great performance. The cliche of Pacino, they always say, is, oh, after he won the Oscar for Scent of a Woman, he started becoming the hoo-ah guy. No, he's fucking loud back then, too.
He's just always loud.
Yeah, you're just thinking of the first Godfather. That's it. It's just, he was always kind of a big performer. They were talking, Val Kilmer's biography talks about De Niro's approach and Pacino's approach because he worked with him on Heat. And Pacino's all internalization, whereas Pacino's the exact opposite. So he wants everything out in the open, big and showy. And you get a lot of that here.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like, I completely understand if people don't like Al Pacino for these types of performances. I get it. I do think it works for this movie. And there have definitely been other, like, cops are bad, actually, kind of movies that, and we've definitely done them in the past. I want to say Friends of Eddie Coyle kind of had a little bit of that. French Connection a little bit. I think it was French Connection.
But this is the first one where it's like, hey, this is time that they need to be arrested, that these are truly bad guys, not gray zone in any way whatsoever.
Yeah, I think this is one that's definitely more, a lot more attention is on corruption within the police force. More so, like, the other movies dabble in that a little bit. I want to say some of the more like blaxploitation movies actually were more heavily involved in like talking about that.
Yeah, stylish.
There's an obvious reason why.
Yeah, as stylish as they are, or whatever, they had a real point to talk about the system and how fucked up it was, and that it puts, a spotlight on black people's lives, and they're dealing with the cops or as a cop. Compared to what the white man's story was for years, is everybody is perfect and it's just like an episode of Dragnet.
It's just a couple of bad apples. We just need to put them in their place.
Yes, Jimmy.
It's very much
follow the law.
Okay, and then with Serpico, I think, we kind of come back to, like, cops, like, the institution itself is corrupt, and we're going to talk more about that, and it works really well. It's a really good story. I mean, and also, I don't know how much of it is exactly real, how much of it is, played up. I'm assuming Pacino's performance is played up a bit.
Yeah.
It's big. I think it works, though, because when he starts, he's like very kind of calm, meek, a do-gooder, and then being slowly whittled down over time, not by the people he's arresting, but by the institution itself is what wears him down. And I think that's a really interesting take on it.
Yeah, and the shock, and this is a spoiler, the shock that he gets shot in the fucking face because he's set up by his own guys and survives. Holy fucking shit. Yeah,
that's the thing too that I think they did talk about a little bit, which is like everything that he's doing before, this is before Internal Affairs has started, but like why are you going through this whole process to have a target on your back and then want to be moved up in the police force? Like, there is no safety. And he's even told that. It's like, there's a lot of ways this can go down. It maybe you call and then no one responds for a while.
Yeah, which I've seen in others, yeah.
And that's kind of exactly what happens. I think it was really clever to kind of take it at that approach, that it doesn't have to be necessarily like intentionally antagonistic, being shot by a fellow officer. It could just be, we're just not going to be there when you need us.
Yeah. The shocker to me was when I looked this movie up that there was a TV show of this that lasted like 7 episodes. How the fuck do you make a TV show about this?
Yeah.
Especially in the 70s, you'd have to so ungrit it. Like, there's no Sidney Lumet touch there. I bet you they wrapped up everything in one episode. And you're like, now on to the next adventure.
Yeah. I still haven't seen it, but there was an attempt to make a Blazing Saddles TV show. I was like,
oh, yeah. I've actually seen the pilot.
The same idea. This ain't going to work.
Yeah,
how are you going to turn this into TV?
That's on the disc. I wonder if there's an episode. I got to see if there's a Serpico episode out there. But my favorite thing about the aftermath of Serpico is that episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Charlie.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, it's so fucking ridiculous. All right, so our final film is the legendary Sorcerer. Of course, a massive flop at the time. People weren't ready for it, and it came out up against Star Wars, so it was kind of fucked.
That spells doom. But legendary is correct. This is like one of the great, I don't know if it's just necessarily an American movie, but it's a classic in every sense of the word.
It's funny looking into production. William Friedkin was going to do some big epic, and he wanted to calm down later by shooting a very small budget. $2.5 million was the budget for a remake of Wages of Fear. He says not of the movie, but of the book. I don't know what the difference is because I've never seen or read either. But it turns out bloated. I think it cost $22 million. It was a hellish production, and it just, at least you get to see all their hard work on screen, and god damn it, does it pay off.
Yes. Everything about this movie is just works so well. I mean, the first half is almost like a political thriller where we're talking about this very poor area of the world where, companies all over the world are just mining it for oil.
Yeah.
And the political consequences of that, of resistance movements, people are turning against them, and so there's just so much pressure that is being applied in every facet of this place, and all of the people getting involved, and then all of a sudden, people are trying to destroy the mining company. And so it starts this huge fire that they can't let out because it's oil coming out of the ground. Like, you can't stop that with water. It's just impossible. So the only thing they can really do is try to displace oxygen by just creating a large explosion. But the only explosives that they have are these old bits of TNT that are incredibly volatile. And so, like, disposing of it properly is going to take forever. And it's like, well, why don't we just kill two birds with one stone? We'll just use this dynamite and we're going to just stop the fire. And at that point, that's about the halfway point where they come up with this plan. And then the other half is just incredible. Some of the most intense scenes of any movie I've ever seen, of trying to move TNT across like unpaved roads for a day.
Yeah. Oh. And the only name in this is Roy Scheider, coming off of Jaws. And Jesus Christ, he got the Oscar nomination for his next film after this called All That Jazz. I think that some of the people that gave him that Oscar nomination were actually thinking about Sorcerer and we didn't go see this movie. We didn't see how great his performance was. We owe it to him because he's good in All That Jazz. He's fucking great in this.
Yes.
He is a very confusing actor because when he hit so goddamn hard. And then in the 80s, it just completely fell apart, and I just don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about Sorcerer, honestly, because it's
just
kind of a perfect movie.
Yeah, you're going to sweat. Roy Scheider is a mobster driver who fucks up one of their escape routes, I guess, and gets people killed, and he's going to be killed as punishment by the rest of the mob. and he has to run to some country they'll never find him, which was it, like Belize or something. Fucking, I couldn't even tell you what it was. But yeah, it's he's the only name in it, and it's William Friedkin just firing on all cylinders, and his career never recovered from this. This is kind of that era where, for the first chunk of the 70s, they're letting all these auteurs do whatever they want. They basically give them blank checks. And it just, with the exception of Apocalypse Now, they all tank. They destroy careers. So Heaven's Gate, fucking One from the Heart from Coppola. The 80s was like, well, not the auteur anymore. We're going to go for the franchise. We're going to go for the blockbuster.
Yeah, and then Star Wars is kind of the nail in the coffin on that.
Yeah, and the fact that they came out right up against each other. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. We're gonna go safe. We're just gonna, like you said, it kind of destroyed the auteur movement.
Yeah, but it's worth. I mean, my God, this movie's amazing, and it's sweat-inducing, but it's also one of the sweatiest fucking movies you'll ever see. Oh my God.
What was it? Reports of the Commissioner, I think, was our previous most sweaty movie.
Yeah, Report of the Commissioner is very sweaty, but this whole thing is sweat.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that Fitzcarraldo is probably going to be even sweatier.
Yeah, the amount of work that they put in to build up the intensity so that you feel it, like, obviously, just like when they find the dynamite, just like slowly picking it up, doing all this, noticing that it's like it's dripping, like it's corroding, it's going to fall apart. Just moving it slightly is going to cause like a massive explosion.
Well, even his little fingertips, he has a couple of drops of his fingertips. He has to keep his hand right under it so it doesn't splash too far. And when he throws it off, it causes like almost like cherry bomb explosions. He could have blown his fingers off if he had grabbed a doorknob.
Right. So yeah, we start with that, and then we have like the truck scene where it's like, we need truckers to see how this thing is going to work. And then they have like this bottle of water on there, so you can see just like how volatile the trucks are. You can see there's holes punched through them. These are like old. These are not meant for this kind of work. So it's just going to involve incredibly tedious yet intense like maneuvering around like areas where they had just built really crappy bridges that are falling apart, and like moving these massive trucks over them. Oh, it's just, everything, like every detail you could possibly put that they put into this, everything works just so well.
All right, so that is it for this episode. What is your favorite of the four?
Oh, Sorcerer by far. And I am a huge Cronenberg stan, I admit, but Sorcerer got it hands down.
Yeah, that's my favorite too. All right, so we played a little game that you guys don't know about. Is we were going to do Fitzcarraldo, I believe, right? And then we were like, wait, we have 3 S titles. Let's go for the 4th.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we can't pass up the opportunity for the alliteration.
Yeah, it's just too bad I didn't have a copy of which is a 70s horror movie where a guy gets
like a Sweet Seymour's Badass song?
Oh, yeah, badass. All right, that is it, everybody. Have a good one.
See ya.